Hi guys. Sorry, I've had to change the topics around a little bit. I didn't get the police report, or this particular police report, until 2 days ago, so I thought it's actually better to start here than with the evidence. So, hi Mary, how are you, honey? Making sure everyone can hear me all right. Um, yeah. So the way we're going to do this is we'll do a live. The first episode will be a live for each topic. We're not going to be able to cover everything in one live just because we would be here for hours, and I know, once you're on for half an hour, you kind of can start to lose concentration or whatever. So what I'll do is cover what I can here today in about probably half an hour, 40 minutes, and then the rest of the episodes for police reports will be put up as pre-recorded, because otherwise we would need everyone to call in every night, and it's just not possible from my end or from everyone else's end. So just starting with this police report from GPD. Bear with me while I find where I put it. Okay, so we're going to start with the incident narrative, and there's some 25-30 pages, so it's like I said, it's just so long, but I'm going to cover the rest of it over the weekend before we get to the evidence live, which will be on Sunday night at 8 p.m. I think I made it an hour earlier because it's a Sunday night. Anyway, so Saturday, September 15th, 2018 at 11:30 hours, I, Sergeant Darren Worsfold, met with Evan Hillier at the Public Safety Building. Hillier wanted to report his friend Tyler Smith as missing. Hillier stated that Smith was in town for a Naval Reserve drill weekend. Hillier stated that him and Smith went to the Corner Connection and they both got very intoxicated. Hillier stated that he lost track of Smith sometime around 23:30 hours, so about 11:30 p.m. Hillier stated Smith had his car keys, so he walked home. The car is still parked near the corner of South Cherry and East Simmons Street in the 200 block of South Cherry Street. Officer Keisler checked the car and there was no one in it. The car is a black Mitsubishi Endeavour. Hillier stated he had made several attempts to call Smith as they had drill on the Saturday, but Smith was not picking up his phone. Tyler has recently moved from Rochelle, Illinois to Concord, California, and was just back for drill. Hillier stated that he does not know of anyone that Taylor would know in Galesburg. It's nice that you can't get Tyler's name consistently right in this report. You call him Taylor. First thing. Smith was staying at Hillier's residence. Hillier stated Smith is about 5'11", 200 pounds. Light-skinned, black male. Last seen wearing a grey Nike hoodie, khaki pants, dark-coloured Nike shoes. For some reason I thought his shoes were light white. He liked his white shoes, didn't he? Has a goatee and short hair. Hillier advised he would call if he located Smith. I had Hillier sign a Leeds missing person form. Tyler Smith was then entered into Leeds' database. I attempted to call Smith's phone on several occasions with negative results. Dispatch had the phone company ping the phone, but it only gave a location as 0.34 miles west of Tower at 100 North Cherry Street. I had an officer Kissler check this area with negative results. We'll talk about more of that in future. That he clearly didn't get out of his car. Had he done that, he may have found him then. The Broadview Hotel was also checked with negative results. There are no further leads to follow at this time. And after that is incident supplements. There are a lot of them. Yes, Sandy, that's what I thought in the video. His shoes were white, they weren't dark. But, you know, people do make mistakes also. I didn't realise you were off work, or I don't know if you're at work. If anyone does want to call in, they can do so. From Australia, there are 2 numbers. From USA or Canada is toll-free number 833-302-1536. When prompted, enter personal meeting ID on the screen, 424-256-1516. If you did want to call in, Sandy, sorry, I thought you were at work, or you may be, and just be popping in briefly. But if anyone did want to call in and assist with this, they can. Or I will just go for a bit on my own. That's not a problem. So, going on to incidental reports in regards to this. Let me bring it up. Keeps disappearing on me. Supplemental reports. So the first one being September 18th. Now this is, what are we talking here? 3 days after Tyler was found. And when I saw this date, I thought, why are you making these reports 3 days later? Is that a normal thing to be doing? This supplemental report is in reference to the original report regarding a missing adult. On Saturday, September 15th, at approximately 18:57 hours, officers responded to the area of North Academy Street and West Ferris Street in reference to a report of a possible body in Cedar Creek by the intersection. Upon arrival, Officer Spitzer located the caller, I'll redact that, I won't mention, who was present with his wife and small child at the railroad grade crossing bridge over Cedar Creek. Pointed out to the east and observed a clothed person approximately 75 yards away in the canal, lying down with the head near the water north and feet near the retaining wall south. The person was not moving. I directed incoming units to respond to the 100 block of Westwater, where it appeared the canal was accessible for entry. Officer Inglis, Officer Paulsgrove, and Officer Taylor were able to access the canal and reach the person who was later determined deceased and identified as the missing Tyler L. Smith. Smith was later taken out of Leeds as missing. The witness advised he was walking in the area with his wife and child when he observed the body in the canal. He stated he called out to the subject and did not get a response, so he advised he called 911 to report the situation and was quickly met by officers. He advised he and his family would be returning home and would be available for any further contact if needed. Refer to the additional supplemental reports for full details. Spitzer, Taylor, Paulsgrove, Chake, I don't know how you say this policeman's name, Shlomo, Inglis, Detective Ollinger, whatever. So he's the lead on this case, which is neither open nor closed, it is inactive. Just checking back on text messages, messages in between this, in between my reading. So, another supplemental, September 18th, again, at 18:23, 6:23, and this is from Taylor, on September 15th at 18:57 hours, Officer Taylor was dispatched to the area of North Academy and West Ferris Street in reference to a body that had been located in Cedar Creek. Officer Spitzer was first on scene and directed arriving officers to the location of the body. Officers made access to Cedar Creek from Westwater and Northwest Street, approximately 100 yards west from Northwest Street. Officers located a male's body. The subject was later identified as Tyler Smith, who was reported missing earlier on September 15th. Smith was found to be deceased and had no signs of life. Detective Ollinger arrived on scene and processed the scene. I set up a perimeter with yellow caution tape. I assisted with scene security throughout the incident. That's it for Taylor. Paulsgrove also entered September 18th, 1824, a minute later. Why are these reports being admitted in 4 days after the event from different... I just don't get this. Okay, this report is in reference to Officer Worsfield's original report in which Tyler Smith was listed as a missing person. On September 15th at 18:57 hours, officers were dispatched to the area of Water Street and Academy Street for a person down in Cedar Fork Creek. Upon arrival, Officer Inglis and I observed the subject, later identified as Tyler Smith. Smith was laying face down in the water. In observing Smith, I observed he had been deceased for some time. I observed a small injury to the right side of his face and a small amount of blood in the water around his face. When we deal with the autopsy and tox discussion in a couple of weeks, you'll see that it's more than just a small injury to the right side of his face. The reason I've put that episode off is because we still need help with a coroner or pathologist or someone who would be able to help us with the toxology reports and the autopsy reports as well. Detective Ollinger and Coroner Mark Thomas arrived and the scene was turned over to them. Ollinger, date time entered September 20th, so now we're looking at 6 days after the event. On Saturday, August 15th, 2018, I responded to the scene to assist with this investigation. Upon arrival, I photographed the scene and assessed it for physical evidence. I noticed that the victim was lying prone in the water with his head in a northerly direction. The victim's head and torso were submerged in the water while his feet were on the concrete bank. The victim was neatly dressed in denim jeans, a hooded sweatshirt, and athletic shoes. In that position, I observed no obvious signs of trauma or injury, and the victim's clothing, other than being wet from the flowing water, was free of soil and blood-like staining. There was a small amount of BLS present in the water, being that BLS they refer to is bloodstains, not, bodily life signs, normally, I think that's used for. So there was a small amount of bloodstain present in the water under the victim's face, but it was not known at this time whether or not it was the result of injury and or decomposition. And we already know that the coroner said there was no decomp. I photographed this victim. I subsequently collected a watch with a broken band, a vapor smoking pen, a can of Camel brand Sinus, is that Sinus, containing pills, the victim's money clip, star wallet, the victim's California driver's license, $72 in US currency, one cellular telephone, 2 sets of miscellaneous keys, and listen to these ones. 1 empty can of Keystone Light beer, 1 iron railroad spike, 1 plastic grocery bag appearing to contain empty cans and packaging for Keystone Light beer, and 1 black leather woman's purse containing 1 bottle of lotion from the scene. That is odd. Coroner Thomas and I removed the victim from the water and placed him on the dry bank. I bagged his hands with paper bags and secured them with zip ties. We examined the victim's back and found no evidence of trauma or injury. We rolled the victim onto his back and verified his identity as Tyler Smith via his California driver's license and a family tree tattooed on his torso, information previously provided by family members. I again photographed the victim. An examination of his torso yielded no evidence of exterior injury and or trauma. There were signs of facial injury of an unknown origin. If they were an unknown origin, why was this scene treated in the way it was? Bloodstain was present on his face, which appeared to be coming from his nose and or mouth. The front of his clothing was wet, but they appeared clean and tidy except for the soiling caused from the water submersion. There was no bloodstain present on the clothing. Smith was placed in a body bag, which was secured with a zip tie. Coroner Thomas removed Smith from the scene. The scene was assessed after Smith's removal. No further possible evidence was found or collected. The scene was released. Why did you release it after his body was removed? What was that based on? That's what I would like to know. Does anyone have any questions at this point? I'm going to make it a lot easier for you to follow on in the next episodes. But I haven't had time to redact the information, some information on their addresses, witnesses' names, phone numbers, things like that. So that is why I'm not showing it today, because I haven't had time to redact. But for the rest of this, I will cover it on the screen so that you guys can follow on a bit more. So basically, they've, crime scene tapes the area off, and it made an assumption or an assessment during and up until his body was released to the coroner that this was not suspicious or anything like that, without actually knowing for sure. That's what I'm getting from this. Okay. I returned to police headquarters and presented Officer Taylor with Smith's wallet, credentials, keys, and $72 cash. These items were returned to his parents at headquarters. Smith's cell phone will remain in department custody until further notice. On Sunday, September 17th, Coroner Thomas reported that the preliminary autopsy results listed Smith's cause of death as drowning. A toxicology analysis will be performed. The results are subject to a separate report. Again, we'll look at those down the track. This is the part where I got really angry this morning reading this for the first time. On Wednesday, September 19th, 2018, I searched the purse and found it contained a bottle of lotion only. The purse was also soiled in a manner to suggest it had been submerged in the water for a long time. As a result, there is no reason to believe the purse is evidence in this case. The purse was disposed of. How do you know it belonged to Tyler? How do you know it wasn't dropped there by a third party? Due to the findings of pathologists and there being no evidence that Smith was stabbed, the iron railroad spike collected at the scene was disposed of. Again, why? Because he didn't have any stab marks on him? That's not a good assumption, a logical assumption to come to. The collected Keystone brand beer items were also disposed of. So you assumed that they were his beers and his beers only? They couldn't perhaps have belonged to anyone else. And I haven't seen anything yet, video camera or otherwise, of Tyler purchasing any beers. If someone wants to let me know that did happen, that down the track there was surveillance for that, I would assume that a bottle shop would have video surveillance, unless that's one of these stores that I've read through that sell beer and that I'm not aware of. The watch, 82 cents in loose US currency, vapor pen, and Camel snus can, we don't have that here, so I don't know what it is, I'm assuming it's sinus can, were packaged together and secured in the evidence vault. These items can be returned to Smith's parents. So, again, no testing of these items. On Wednesday, September 19th, I searched Smith's cellular telephone. The last text message conversation I found for Friday, September 14th, 2018 was a short 4-line text message between Smith and a contact labelled Oni between 23:38 hours and 23:42 hours. The message states the following. 11:38 p.m. Oni gives his address, which I won't read out. 11:40, Smith replies, coming. 11:41 p.m, Smith says, Wits BS, IA 39 Min Walk. So he was intoxicated, not a lot of that made sense, but Oni says, let me come pick you up, bro, at 11:42. At this time, there is no evidence suggesting Smith's death was the result of a criminal offence, and that was from Ollinger. Oh, pardon me while I adjust my chair. So, we're all up to date with that so far, I believe. Not too much information coming in. The police could have been interviewing people on the Sunday, Monday even, but it was Tuesday night before these reports were entered into the system. So that is odd to me. I don't know. Someone might be able to explain and say that that is typical for a police department to wait several days before referring back in their memory to what happened 4 days, 3 days prior. I would have thought that your memory is best as close to the event as possible and not 3, 4 or more days later. Okay. September 20th. Kevin Legate, officer. Kevin Legate. On Monday, September 17th, at approximately 11:15 hours, I, Detective Legate, spoke with Evan Hillier via cell phone. Evan Hillier stated on Friday, September 14th, he was bar hopping with Tyler Smith and Robert Dowers. Evan Hillier stated they went to Duffy's, the bar, Monkey Business, Cherry Street, and Corner Connection. Evan Hillier stated that the Corner Connection was the last bar they went to, and they were there approximately 30 to 45 minutes. Evan Hillier indicated he and Tyler Smith each had 3 beers and 3 shots while they were at the Corner Connection. Evan Hillier stated he did not remember leaving the bar with Tyler Smith, but Robert Dowers has since informed him that all 3 left the bar together. Evan Hillier stated he walked home and he had given Tyler Smith the keys to his vehicle earlier in the night. Earlier in the night, Tyler Smith showed Evan Hillier 2 pills in his snus can. Tyler Smith stated the pills were antidepressants he obtained on the street. Evan Hillier recalled seeing I2 imprinted on the pills. Evan Hillier is not for sure if Tyler Smith had taken any pills prior to them drinking or throughout the night. Toxology reports don't suggest this. I believe the I2 may be correct me if I'm wrong, it might be, it could be ibuprofen, which is just a muscle. Like, I mean, I'm sure that the police, if they had a concern about these pills, that they would have not given them back to the family. But yeah, I'm not too sure about that. If anyone can help with that one. Okay. Evan Hillier also indicated Daniel Oni resides in Markham. Is that how you say it? Received a phone call from Tyler Smith sometime Friday night. Evan Hillier learned Tyler Smith thought he was in Markham and was going to walk to Daniel Oni's house. So that seems to be corroborated by the later text message between him and Oni. And from what we can tell, if Tyler, was a bit drunk or whatever, I think it was roughly saying it was like 39 minutes walk or something to Oni's house. So I wanted to have a look into that as well. But after Robert Dower's initial phone report, there is one from Daniel Oni, so we can go into that a little bit. So we're almost at half an hour already. This is what I'm saying. Like, I'm only on my 4th page now out of maybe 25, 30. So there's going to be a lot to cover on this, and I do want to do it in small chunks because it can be a lot to take in. It was ibuprofen, Sandy. Yeah, that's what I assumed. Like, I've got similar pills here that, I mean, you just buy them over the counter at the chemist or pharmacy, as you guys say, and they're just muscle. Like we have them as well as Panadol. So paracetamol for headaches, ibuprofen if it's more muscular or things like that. So. And they were supposed to have drills that day, and they were constantly tested. So there's no issue here of illicit drugs or prescription drugs that weren't his. This is just what the police report is stating. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover Robert Dower's statement, Daniel Oni's initial statement, and then on the next episode I'll go into the recorded interviews. But these were just the initial ones that were put out. And I'm going to pre-record these episodes and upload them so you guys will be able to follow on with the police report. Like I said, there's many, many, many pages and a lot of information here. And if I pre-record it, I'll be able to add imagery for you to better understand the narrative of this. So on Thursday, again, September 20th at approximately 12:30 hours, I spoke with Robert Dowers via cell phone. Robert Dowers knew Tyler Smith through the National Guard. Robert Dowers confirmed he was drinking with Tyler Smith and Evan Hillier. Robert Dowers met Tyler Smith and Evan Hillier at Duffy's at approximately 2000 hours on Friday, September 14th. So they were having dinner there. Tyler Smith and Evan Hillier were drinking prior to meeting Robert Dowers. There's no mention of food here, but there is mention of stomach contents in the autopsy, so I am assuming that they ate here as well, perhaps. Robert Dowers stated that they were last at Corner Connection. Robert Dowers informed Evan Hillier appeared to be more intoxicated than Tyler Smith, and Robert Dowers told Evan Hillier to give his car keys to Tyler Smith, and they were on his person when he was found. Robert Dowers stated that all three left the Corner Connection at approximately 23:15 hours, 11:15 at night. All three walked on East Simmons Street towards South Cherry Street. Robert Dowers was parked in the 100 block of South Cherry Street, and Evan Hillier was parked in the 000 block of South Cherry Street on opposite sides of the road. Robert Dowers turned and walked south to his vehicle at South Cherry Street, East Simmons. Robert Dowers last saw Evan Hillier and Tyler Smith in the 000 block of South Cherry Street. Now remember, these are the initial reports. Okay. Markham was a 40-minute drive. Okay, so that 39 minutes Tyler was referring to was actually driving. But he thought he was in Markham, right? He didn't. So he thought he was closer to Oni than what he was, I believe. Then that would make sense if he thought that. And so that is in the report. Okay, just going to wrap it up here with Daniel Oni's initial statement on Thursday, September 20th. Approximately 13:43 hours. I spoke with Daniel Oni via cell phone. Daniel Oni confirmed he received a phone call from Tyler Smith on Friday, the 14th September, around 23:42 hours. During this conversation, Tyler Smith asked for Daniel Oni's address. Tyler Smith told Daniel Oni he was in Markham and he wanted to stop by Daniel Oni's house. Daniel Oni provided Tyler Smith with his address via text message. So that's what that messages were for. Daniel Oni told me he thought Tyler Smith sounded intoxicated. Daniel Oni told Tyler Smith he would pick him up, and he asked Tyler Smith where he was at. Tyler Smith told Daniel Oni he was by the Markham Police Department. So I guess that is what led him to believe he was in Markham. Daniel Oni drove around the Markham Police Station but could not locate him. At approximately 23:52 hours, Daniel Oni again tries calling Tyler Smith but did not get an answer. Daniel Oni also stated at approximately 23:50 hours, Tyler Smith sent him 3 random photos via text. Daniel Oni stated it appeared as if the photos had been stored in Tyler Smith's phone, and Tyler Smith accidentally sent the photos to Daniel Oni. Daniel Oni described one of the photos as being a photo of Tyler Smith and Tyler Smith's mother. Nothing further at this time from Detective Kevin Legate. What doesn't make sense to me about this is that where was Oni? If his house was 40 minutes away from where Tyler was, and Oni said that he had been driving, he would come and pick him up and drive around and see him, why is the narrative still talking about the 11 p.m. hour when it would take until, if he was at home, if Oni was at his house, it would take until the 12 o'clock hour? That's kind of what doesn't make sense to me, unless he was already in the area. And see, that initial report there needs a lot, like if that's me interviewing this person for the first time, it needs a lot more clarification than what is given, because you need to know where Oni was. Was he at home? Did he travel 40 minutes? Why is that not mentioned in the report? Are they expecting you to just make your own assumptions? That's kind of what doesn't make sense to me whatsoever. So, stay tuned. I'll start working on them today after my housework, or I will be murdered. So, I will be able to do the rest of these reports. There's a lot. Food was eaten at Buffalo Wild Wings before they met up with Robbie. Yeah, see that I kind of assumed based on the autopsy report, because they said there was about, I think, roughly 250 grams of food. Now, I know they can tell by that, and this is, again, why we need like a pathologist or someone like that to be able to say, I think they can give a rough idea, can't they, of like by looking at the contents in a stomach, that they could perhaps work out time of death from that, or somewhere close, I would assume. So definitely, like when in the last episode when we were talking about, was he there 8 hours, was he deceased 19 hours, and that he wasn't deceased 19 hours. Yes, Sandy, so that would definitely, once Jen can get a hold of her friends perhaps, or if anyone else knows someone who would be able to kind of pull apart this autopsy result, and kind of read it to us or make sense of some things in layman terms, then please contact us. Information is in the About section on the channel. So I'm going to go and continue with these reports. Yes, Kimberly, we hope that they get justice too, and it might be a little slow going. Just bear with me. I will, start piecing this together. I'm just flying on my own tonight, so it's a little bit hard. But once we're all together, we kind of tend to gain some speed. So I want to thank everyone for coming in. And please stay tuned over the weekend for upcoming episodes on the police reports. Then we will do a live on Sunday night, 8 Central Time, which is 11 a.m. Monday, Australian, Southeast Queensland time, on the evidence in the case.